Welcome back to Follow the Figures. Once again, this is Dave. Tonight we're going to dive into a 6.5 furlong race at Charlestown. Okay, it's not a track I play that often, and it's a maiden special weight race, which is also a type of race I don't play very often either, simply because there's usually not enough to go by. But in this case, this is a 3-year-old race, so these horses do have some past races. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. In this video here, oh, by the way, it's Friday, October 12th, as you can see here from my past performance. Once again, I'm using Brisnet past performances. I find them to be a little more reliable, I think, than the daily racing form. But, you know, it really doesn't matter because you're going to get the figures from both of them. Okay, it's just that Brisnet probably has a little bit of a different way of calculating their figures than the buyer's numbers. But anyways, this is a 6.5 furlong maiden special weight. And again, it's at Charlestown. And what I'm going to do, this video is going to mainly focus on the initial sweep. And then for maybe a couple horses, I'll do the figures. And then after that, I'm going to pause. And when I come back, you're going to see that the grid is going to be completely filled out. I'm not going to go step by step on every single horse here. But on my initial sweep, again, being that this is a sprint race, well, really it's a 2-turn race at Charlestown. So you got to look at this a little bit differently than you would a normal 6 furlong race or normal sprint race or 1 turn at some tracks. This is a 6 furlong race on 2 turns. And the reason I'm doing that is because if I look and I see a horse coming out of a route race, because one of the things I look for in sprint races in the initial sweep is horses going from 2 turns to 1. In this case here, you're not going to have any. In this case, however, we do have horses going from 1 turn to 2. And I'll show you what I look for when I see horses going from sprint to a route. Okay, first of all, I'm looking at the 1 and I'm not seeing anything that I look for. I look for a past running line, preferably the last race, where the horse just kept closing from call number 1 to call number 2 to call number 3 to call number 4 and finished within 3 lengths of the winner. So hopefully as I sweep down a little bit, we'll be able to find one, okay? Because a 4.5 furlong race at Charlestown is actually a 1-turn race. So we got 2 horses right now that are actually going from sprint to, if you want to call it a route, or 2-turn race, 1 turn to 2. The one I'm throwing out simply because I don't see any moves being made in the last 2 times out. Okay, on the turn, in this case, the turn comes very quickly in a 4.5 furlong race. Right here, he's losing lengths, and he loses lengths on the stretch. And same thing here, he's lost lengths here, and he gained some lengths on the stretch 2 back. But again, I mean, he was 11 lengths out, top of the stretch, and he finished 6 3/4. You might as well say 7 lengths out in an 8-horse field. He finished 4th. You know, I don't see enough enticement there to say, all right, I'm gonna move the 1 on to the next step here. Now the 2, however, this early speed here, close to the lead in the first 2 calls, is enough for me to qualify this horse. So I'm gonna keep this horse right now. Right here we see a move from the first call, which is the quarter mile, to the top of the stretch, where in a 4.5 furlong race is approximately the half point of the race. So I see 4 lengths gained from there. Okay, so on the turn, this horse gained 4 lengths on the turn, which is big for me, more so in a route race. But when we're dealing with non-winners here, maidens, you know, I'll take anything I can get that's going to tell me that maybe a horse is possibly going to improve next time out. And if you look at this 3 at 15 to 1, I'm going to try to find a way to keep this horse as a qualifier. Well, right there, that's enough to do it. This horse here, 1 horse, 1 lifetime race. I'm not big on workouts simply because I don't know enough about them. So I'm just going to make my life easier and hopefully not cut my own throat. But I'm going to toss the 4 in this race. The 5 horse, I'm going to qualify him simply because of the stretch move. Stretch to the finish, 4 lengths out to the wire, lost by a nose. Okay? And as you can see, he was gaining the whole way. So he qualifies for that sprint to route move that I was talking about. 6 out, 4 out, lost by a nose. All right, he closed the whole way. He didn't lose anything, any lengths at all. Now we have a 7 furlongs, 7 furlongs, 7 furlongs, moving up in class, which I'm not going to penalize him for. And I see a move right here on the turn. In a race 6 furlongs or longer, or actually 5.5 furlongs or longer, you count 4 back starting here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the start of the turn. That's the start of the far turn. And 3 back is actually the end of the turn. So this horse gained 2 lengths on the turn. So he's going to qualify. The 7. Again, we have a little bit of a move here. And then got blown away after that. Who knows? That there could just be an indication that this horse wasn't used enough. Once he started to lose the lead, maybe he wasn't used anymore after that. And he's coming back now. Maybe he's going to run a bigger race. Number 8, I'm going to qualify him again. Gain, a gain, and then steadied. But I'm going to qualify him because of that gain right there. 6 lengths to 4. Number 9, I'm seeing 3, 4, 7, 3, 6, 8. I'm going to toss. Nothing enticing about that. Again, doesn't mean he's not going to win the race or finish somewhere in the money. And then I'm looking at the 10, and even though it's a tough post to run from with this style, I'm seeing which is probably going to be my speed horse. Or again, despite the post, I'm thinking that this jockey is going to try to get this horse out to the lead. How much he's going to have to use of that horse to get there, I don't know. So I'm going to go to my grid here because we only have 10 horses. These are all scratched. The AEs are all out. So we have 10 horses we're dealing with. So I'm going to cross out 11 and 12. I'm going to mark the 10 in the color that I always use for my potential pace setter, which is light green. I have nothing else to mark other than my figures now. Okay, because my other color codes are route to sprint, which won't have anything to do with this race. I also mark class droppers. Well, this is a maiden. This is the top of the maiden bunch over here at Charlestown. And all these horses are coming from Charlestown, I think. So we're not looking at any class droppers. I don't code horses that are moving up in class. Okay? I let everything else do the talking for that horse. And so from here now, we're ready to move on to the horses that I qualified. First of all, I'm going to cross the 1 out because I tossed them out. I also eliminated the 4. And I've eliminated the 9. Okay? So we're looking at 7 horses to figure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the figures for the first couple horses, and then I'm going to pause. And when I come back, the grid will be finished. Okay, so when I go, I'm going to go to my Windows 10 split screen here. Enlarge a little bit so I can see the figures. And so you can see them too. I recommend you go full screen on your YouTube video. It's a lot easier to see the same thing that I'm looking at. And hopefully my volume is good here too. You can hear me. Okay, so the first column, I'm taking the best buyer on the year, which is 2018, and that's a 69. I'm going to put a 69 in. I'm also going to go to today's surface, which is fast, dirt, and that's also the 69. Next one is the best at this distance. Well, the best at this distance, this horse happened to run at a 6 furlong distance before, and there's that 69 right there. And his last out figure was a 65. Now, my last out, I don't need to make any adjustments, again, because my last out figure is not higher than the last 2 before that. Okay, we have a 69 here. So I'm going to keep it as a 65. And the next 3 columns is simply 65, 56, 69. Now, my early speed, which I got ahead of myself, I usually figure it out during the initial sweep. But I'm going to do it right now, and then I'm going to pause, and you'll see that the rest of them will be done. All right. 4.5 or 6.5 furlong race. I usually look for early speed and late speed. Okay, not just early, because any race that falls between 6 furlongs to 7.5, I want to get a rating for both his early, which is his first quarter, and his late speed, which is his last quarter. But in this case, we have so many horses that are coming off of 4.5 furlong races. I'm not going to be able to get a late final fraction, okay, because it's just not represented here in the times for an actual quarter. And rather than try to estimate, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to go and get an early rating for every one of them. I'm going to show you how I do that. I get a 22 and 2 to a 45 and 4. That's the true raw fractions of the horses, or the horse or horses that were in the lead at both of these calls. So that's a difference of a 23 and 2. Now I'm going to find his internal fraction by finding lengths gained or lost from those two calls. Well, we have a 23 and 2 with 3 lengths lost, so I'm going to add 3 to that. So a 23 and 2 plus 3/5 is actually a 23. So his early internal fraction is a 23. Now when I convert that to a rating, for early speed I use 22 as a standard. 22 would be a 100. For every 1/5 of a second off of a 22, I'm either going to add or subtract a point from 100. In this case, I'm going to subtract, because this is a full second slower than 22, which is 5 ticks. So this is actually going to be a 95. And I will do the same for the rest of the horses. I will do their figures. I will do their speed rating. And I will return. And welcome back. As you can see, our grid is now complete. Let me label this race. This is Charlestown 8th on October 12th. And I have all my figures in now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start what I like to call is paint my picture. Okay, because I'm looking at these numbers right now. They're overwhelming. But when I paint my picture a little bit, this starts to stand out a little bit better. Starting over here, I'm going to find the horse with the highest total points. Okay, so the highest total point horse is the 10, okay, which we predicted as our pace setter. Now again, like I said, coming out of the 10 post, he's going to have to get that horse out of the gate, get him over, and get him to the lead. So I don't know how much he's going to use of that horse. Plus, his early speed, when you factor in lengths gained and lost from some of these other horses, from the first call to the second, you know, he actually falls last. Okay, so we'll see how much how much of a role that plays. The 2 horse is actually my best ES horse. Okay, moving on to the third column. My top figure number, again, is the 10. Fourth column, the 10. Okay. The fifth column is the 10. And the 6 is the 7. Now, I realize the 10 right now looks really enticing, but the 10 has a little bit of experience behind him, okay? Look at all the races he's run. So he's had an opportunity to, you know, put up some better numbers and some better figures up here. Some of these other horses, especially, you know, I'm looking at the morning line favorite, which is the 5 horse. And I had to use a 67 all the way across, because that's the only race he's ever run. Yeah, so I mean, that could be a good thing, could be not so good thing. He could bounce off of that, and he could go run a 53 today and not even finish in the money, or he can improve off of that race, or maybe run an even race, and it might be good enough to beat this field. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I stay away from these maiden races. You know, unless I got a field full of horses that show past experience, like we're seeing in this 10 horse here. Now, there's one thing I want to point out that doesn't factor into this grid with this 10 horse, and that is this 2 races back. Okay, if you look, this horse had the lead all the way to the top of the stretch at a mile 16th. Okay, so this horse here actually won at today's distance. Okay, this is a race of non-winners, maidens, at 6.5 furlongs. Well, when you compare that to all the other horses, now that horse has actually won at this distance. So I got to keep that in mind as well. And I really don't have to, because obviously this is going to be one of my plays, this 10 horse, just because of all this blue. Now I'm going to find my also eligibles in all my columns. Okay, the first 2 columns, anything within 10 of the leader qualifies as an also eligible. So I can go all the way down to 132. Here I can go all the way down to a 126. Here I go to as far back as 5. So 5 away. So there's 2 horses here that I consider also eligibles in this category. Same thing. 5 back. 6, 6, 7. 5 qualifies. And that's it. And the early speed, I honestly, I only go within 1 or 2. If I see something at a 94, maybe a 93, which I don't, I'm going to stick with just the 2. And then I will take my top 4. In a field of 10 like this, I will take my top 4 total point getters, just to see where they fall elsewhere on the grid. And if you notice, my top 4 point getters are also the ones that are kind of opening my eyes on the rest of the grid, with the exception of maybe the 7, okay? Right now we're looking at the 1, the 5, and the 10. If I go to the real odds right now, Charlestown 8th, if we're on the 8th yet, hopefully we're on the 8th race. Okay, there's 10 minutes to go. And again, we're looking at the 10 at 2 to 1. The 2 at 5 to 1. And the 5 right now is a favorite at 6 to 5. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm hoping that just this one race is enough to sway the public to think that this horse might be the best horse in the race, and he very well could be. And I'm going to keep my eye on this 10 as the time ticks down, and I'm also going to keep my eye on the 2. Okay. In fact, I'm gonna make a bold decision here, simply because of what I pointed out before about the 10. Actually won at this distance. You know, he's figuring tops in my points. He's also the horse that could be on the lead, and I say could be. You know, his past shows that he probably would, but he's coming out of the 10. So somebody else in this race may decide to either change their running style and try to get the lead, or, like I said, I don't see any other horses here that have flashed the same kind of early speed. You know, maybe the 6. But anyways, my plays are going to be 10, 2, 6, and I'll throw the 7 in. Okay? And if there's value on any of those 4, if there's any value on any of those 4, that would be my win plays. And depending on how you play exotics, how you play your exotics, you know, I'm not going to play any exotics in this race. In fact, I'm not even going to play the race. Okay, so I just made a withdrawal from my account, and I'm not going to put any more in right now. I'm just going to see how this pans out. So we have 10, 2, 6, 7, and when I come back, race will be ready to go. Okay, just checking in with 5 minutes to post, and right now the 2 is still holding as our most likely value horse here in this race. And when I say value horse, I'm talking about if I'm going to place a win place show bet on a particular horse, I'm going to look for some sort of value there, which is really a common common thing with any, not to classify myself as good, but any good handicapper is going to look for value. I mean, I'm not a big bettor to begin with. I might put 5 across the board when I'm betting straight wagers, and I'm not putting 5 across the board on a horse that's 3-2, such as the 5 right now. I'm going to look to beat that 5. And again, the nice thing about these grids, it points me in different directions. What is my option? If I'm not going to put the money on the 5, even though the 5 is not figuring the best for me. He's really not. He's third in total points. Everybody's looking at that move that horse made. Going from the sprint to the route and closing all the way from the start to the finish. But I like to take the approach when I see a horse like that every race is a new race. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to run that type of race again. So we will be back with about a minute to post, or right around post time, and we'll check the final odds, and we'll see what we would decide to do here as far as our straight wager. Okay, we are at 1 minute to post. The 2 is still holding at 5-1. But I did some thinking, and I said, we have 4 horses here. 2 of them, 8-5, 5-2. Maybe the 7 could be the sleeper. So you might have maybe I might go, if I were playing this race, a win place on both the 2 and the 7. Maybe 5 each way, or 3 win place, depending on, again, how big of a bettor you are. Possible exacta with the 2 and the 7 in front. 2-7 with 2-6-7-10. Make that a box so you have it both ways. And then maybe a possible try too, where I would put maybe my top 2 there, or maybe one of them, maybe you know what, maybe a 5-10. That's a 5-10 with a, now why am I saying 5 here? In fact, I was wrong the whole time. I wonder how many of you were sitting there thinking, why does he have the 6 in there? Should be the 5, but maybe like a 5-10 for a try. And I really messed this up, and I apologize right now if you're sitting at home laughing. 5-10 with 2-5-7-10. And is there anyone else that just shows up? Yeah, maybe the 3 and the 8, or maybe the 6. 2, 5, 6, 7, 7, 10. Okay, so if you could decipher all that, see what happens here. And here I went into my, I'll fix that later. Okay, so 2-7 should be 2-5-7-10. All right, we'll see what happens. Okay, we're about to go off here, so see where they are. All right, they're still on their way to the gate. So let's take a look at odds again. 5-1, 5-1, 5-2, 8-5. Actually, even money now. So now we're at the 10 moving up 7-2. Just to make a note, now the 10 has moved up to 4-1. So if we're finding value here at 4-1, We're also finding value. We got to find value here, especially the way the 10 here shows up on this grid and could it possibly have the lead. So maybe I'm just going. For right now, I'm going to leave it at 2-7. Okay, but again, let's make a note of the rise in odds on that 10 horse. But and now we're at 9-2 here. So the what do you call it? The 2 horse is actually going up a little bit too. So we'll just leave it as is and we'll see what happens. And they're about to go. I apologize for the small screen here, but when I go widescreen, for some reason the video freezes. As predicted, the 10 horse got out and he is now in the front.
Under the wire for the first time, and now he's at the fence. So it is Sun Bridled with a deftly guided ride there by Maximo Chilo.
Being challenged by the 5.
Made it to the front. There goes the favorite How's My Boy. A neck behind in second. Freedom is ringing away in third. They've opened up 5 lengths on Winter is Here. Then Winning Scholar in fifth, who races just in front of Viva Flash. That one's inside. Comes a Crazy Notion. At the fence is Champagne Jam. Then comes Mean to Amend. And the trailer early on is Deputy James. He's lagging 15 lengths away from these dueling leaders. Quarter in 23-2. It's Sun Bridled and How's My Boy, 2 of the favorites, slugging it out, and they've opened up half a dozen lengths on Freedom is Ringing, who can't keep up yet from third. The half in 47 seconds flat. Sun Bridled with something left here. Sun Bridled kicks on from How's My Boy. Then comes Freedom is Ringing. He's back in third. The rest trying to.
Now here comes the 2 moving into third.
Is making some headway, but as they turn for home, it's Sun Bridled. Sun Bridled's in front. How's My Boy trying
here
to
comes the
ring
2 on the outside.
Winning Scholar down the center.
Right now we're
Winning
looking at
Scholar's
10-5-2.
Sun Bridled.
Actually
Sun
now it's
Bridled
2-10-5.
Winning Scholar lunging at him late. Winning Scholar very close.
2-10-5-7.
Between Winning Scholar and Sun Bridled. How's My Boy?
And once again,
Crazy Notion round out the super
our numbers were 10-2-5-7. So we would have hit on the win place on the 2, the 2-10 exacta, and we didn't use the 2 in the front in the try because I was just trying to back myself up in case, you know, the 5 or the 10 did win the race, and we didn't get the exacta from it. At least we would have possibly had the try. But again, there's a winner at Charlestown. When the results are posted, I'll put them up. I'm going to pause for a second, and we'll see what the payoff is. We have a dead heat. 2-10-5-7, 10-2-5-7. Okay, so it turns out we would have hit both our exacta, 2-10, and we would have hit the try as well, 10-2-5. And if we would have played a super, there's our numbers right there, 10-2-5-7. We would have had the super as well. Now the dead heat cuts down our win place payoffs because it's sharing the pool now with one another. But we also had the win place money on the 2. So let's see what we would have gotten again once it goes official. And there's our final payoffs right there, 2-10-5-7. I don't need to go run them down. They're right in front of you. If you want to pause the video and take a look at them. Payoffs aren't great. But again, you know, it's it would have been a winner. Okay, we would have obviously came out ahead if we would have played a race, which I decided not to. I just wanted to put together another video that focused on the, you know, the initial sweep and what I'm looking for. And I saw the opportunity with a maiden special weight race, and it's probably going to be the only maiden special weight race run at 4.5 furlongs that I'm ever going to break down probably again, especially on a video. But feel free to leave your comments below. Please try to be nice with them. If not, I mean, I have thick skin. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them down there. And also, you'll see below my link if anybody's interested in learning to follow the figures. It's available. The 106 slide PowerPoint presentation is available on eBay for right now $8.99. So until next time, happy capping. Once again, this is Dave. Talk to you again.